Donald Trump's state visit to Britain was nothing short of royal theatre. From the pomp of Windsor Castle to the glitter of a state banquet, Britain pulled out all the stops. The goal? To remind the world that the so-called special relationship still matters.
The ties between our countries are priceless, and it's really an inheritance. It's a beautiful inheritance. Today we're making those ties closer than ever before. We've done some things that financially are great for both countries, and we work together, and it keeps us together, and I think it's an unbreakable bond we have, regardless of what we're doing today. I think it's unbreakable. But this is very big, and I want to thank all of the incredibly talented business leaders, the best in the world, biggest in the world, here this afternoon for investing in the Anglo-American alliance, and you personify an important part of the unique national bond and really a world bond. What you've done is incredible.
But beyond the grandeur and the ceremonial handshakes, what did the UK actually get in return? For Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the timing could hardly have been more delicate. Days before Trump touched down, Starmer was forced to fire Britain's ambassador to Washington, Peter Mandelson, over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. That scandal cast an uncomfortable shadow, but Starmer managed to keep it from overshadowing the visit. Protesters were kept far away, and Trump himself was shielded from dissenting voices. For 2 days, Britain was determined that nothing would derail the show.
Among friends, and I think we all agree, there's so much to celebrate in the special relationship between our two countries. By standing together in war and in peace, this bond is the very foundation of our security, our freedom, and our prosperity. But what is the relationship all about when it comes down to brass tacks? It comes down to leaders, of course, leaders who respect each other, leaders who genuinely like each other. And it comes down to our unique relationship on defence, the closest the world has ever seen. It comes down to the connections between our people, ties of family and friendship. The President himself is a shining example of that. But it also comes down to business.
And the headline prize of the visit? A £150 billion investment package, proudly dubbed the Tech Prosperity Deal. The government hailed it as a landmark moment for Britain's economic future. Around £31 billion will come from US tech giants to expand Britain's artificial intelligence and tech infrastructure. The lion's share, £90 billion, is pledged by Blackstone, the American investment firm, over the next decade. On paper, it looks impressive. The government insists this deal will create 7,600 jobs and help Britain position itself as a leader in next-generation technology. But scratch beneath the surface and doubts emerge. Critics say much of this so-called deal was simply existing investments bundled together to coincide with Trump's visit. There's also the issue of energy. Building the sort of AI infrastructure envisioned by industry leaders will require far greater power supply. Trump has repeatedly urged Britain to abandon its climate commitments and drill for more oil and gas.
We had an expression that I used a lot, drill, baby, drill, and as you know, we brought fuel way down, the price is way down, and we don't do wind because wind is a disaster. It's a very expensive joke, frankly. And we got our energy prices way down. That brought the inflation way down, and now we have very little inflation, and we have a very, very strong economy. So that was very important, drill, baby, drill. And you have a great asset here, and we spoke about it. It's called the North Sea. The North Sea oil is phenomenal.
That remains a red line for Starmer. But one area of agreement has been nuclear energy. The two countries signed a deal to make it easier to build new nuclear power stations in both nations. Still, the benefits of such projects lie years, even decades ahead. On trade, there was less to cheer. Yes, Britain can now boast that it was the first country to sign a post-tariff trade deal with Trump's America, but that comes with strings attached. Most British goods will still face a 10% tariff when exported to the US, far higher than when Trump first took office. The steel industry, in particular, had hoped for relief from the punishing 25% tariff still applied to its exports. Instead, those hopes were quietly shelved, leaving the sector in crisis. And what about foreign policy? Starmer managed to sidestep direct clashes. Trump made clear he disagreed with Britain's plan to recognize a Palestinian state, but he stopped short of publicly rebuking Starmer.
I want an end. I want the hostages released, and I think it's going to be okay. But it has been a brutal period of time. But this has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's over the last year, 2 years, but this has been for decades and decades. But we want it to end. We have to have the hostages back immediately. That's what the people of Israel want. They want them back, and we want the fighting to stop, and it's going to stop. But a lot of bad things. You know, Hamas said that they're going to put the hostages up as bait. They're going to put the hostages in front of any attack. And that's pretty brutal. We haven't heard that one in a long time. So we have to remember that. So I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score. Okay? One of our few disagreements, actually.
On Russia, Trump said Vladimir Putin had let him down, but offered no fresh commitment to pressure Moscow into ending the war in Ukraine.
The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. It was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but we'll see how that turns out. But that turned out to be, I thought it might be among the easiest of the group. But we have settled just about every conflict, and as you know, we're working very hard on Israel and Gaza. All that's happening over there. Complex, but it's going to get done.
In other words, plenty of talk but little substance. So where does that leave Britain? In the short term, much the same as before. The economy is still struggling, trade frictions remain unresolved, and while the investment deal sounds like a win, its benefits are far off. What Starmer did secure was political breathing space. He avoided embarrassment, preserved the optics of a strong US-UK bond, and bought himself some time. But the nagging question remains. Did Britain truly gain from showering Trump with all this pageantry? Or was it simply another case of holding on to Uncle Sam's coattails, hoping for rewards that may never fully arrive? With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.